Hey, welcome to WVU Football Going Deep. I'm Forrest Poston. We will be talking about the roster, coaches, a couple of practice updates for spring camp, and when the heck did Garrett Greene start looking like Sylvester Stallone? And before that, for those of you who are just listening and not catching any of the visuals, please subscribe, click the thumbs up button, avoid the thumbs down button, make comments without profanity if you can avoid it, and click the share button, tell your friends. And I will be putting some screen cards up, so if you're just listening, you may want to catch some of the visuals. I don't know if they'll be all that worthwhile because I haven't made them yet, because I haven't made the video yet. All right, now, roster update. I did mention that Austin Cave is going into the portal. Coach Brown said that Cave will be graduating and going into the portal. Has not been with the team all winter. And Zeke Lawton's career is over. He is medically retiring. Brown said it's been a bit of a rough go for Lawton for a while. Don't know just what his injury was, but evidently it was enough. Of course, we all wanted to see Lawton finish playing out the home state boy comes home, does well, but it's going to have to be other than as a football player. And Brown did say he's a great kid. I don't know if he said kid. Oh, well. To me, Coach Brown is a kid because I'm a gray-haired old fart. Almost everybody's a kid. On the coaching side, I guess Chris Herring, who was a linebacker at West Virginia in the late 80s, early 90s, if I have my dates correct, will be working as a consultant, focusing on the special teams, which I know some of you will be delighted to hear, but we'll be doing some other things as well. He was, up until a couple of years ago, coaching at Wisconsin, including special teams. So that looks to be another step up for the team, and we look forward to good things. It's going to be a little scattered here. Listen to three coaching videos, 2 from the players, and I did not take time to put it all in order because I've been running very late all day long. Brown did take time, as you would expect from him, to show his appreciation for the women's basketball team. He did have a negative comment to make about the officiating in that game. And he said if the defense shows as much grit and toughness as the women's basketball team did, we're going to have a great season. And also said he's looking forward to meeting Coach DeVries, who will be coming in. Well, he may already be there, I don't know, but we have a press conference on Thursday morning. Of course, it may have already happened by the time some of you watch this video. That's okay. Hold on just a moment. Oh, gosh, we have a special request. Okay, Bob. You'll just have to settle in, though. General terms, Brown said it's been a fun group to coach so far. Excited, good energy. But, of course, haven't had any pads on, and the real football starts on Friday. More depth to linebacker and secondary, which we know, and he does say will be better, which we expect. The young receivers needed to take a step up and have taken a step up, have worked hard. That seems to be the theme Been a lot of hard work, good focus over the winter. In terms of specific players, Marchiol has taken the step that they were looking for. Pre-snap reads are better. Both Coach Brown and Coach Scott picked that out. Coach Scott specifically said on Monday Marchiol made a pass that he would not have even attempted in the past because he had a tendency to stare down the defenders and not necessarily look where he needed to be looking. Said in this case, he read the defense, knew where the pass should be open, threw it into a very tight window, nailed it. That is the Marchiol we've been hoping for. It's first day of spring camp. Not too excited, but certainly hopeful. It's better than hearing that he screwed up a lot. And of course, Marchiol was getting most of the first team snaps because Greene was attending his grandfather's funeral. A little more on that later. Some of you won't want to hear it phrased this way, but he did say Marchiol has a chance to be the most improved player. Noted after a question that having both Greene and Marchiol there as experienced quarterbacks is making things a lot better in practice. Said, each of the 4 stages, spring, summer, fall, winter, 4 seasons. Yeah, I can remember those. They start with the foundation. But he said having 2 experienced quarterbacks helps you get from there to the 200, 300 level course type a lot faster. Of course, you get there faster, you get to do it better, and go farther. Today was Greene's first practice. He was, as I said, attending his grandfather's funeral. And now some of the people were not all that impressed who were watching practice because Greene did miss some deep throws, which is what he's normally best at. But Brown said he didn't get in until about 3 o'clock in the morning. And then, of course, they get morning practice. And then Greene did a press conference. So he was not as perky as you might expect, and he was not on target as you might hope. Very, very difficult conditions. Now, Greene has also been reworking his fundamentals, working with the coaches, working with a quarterback coach from QB country, a guy he's actually worked with for about 4 years now, I guess. And so, they're making significant changes, been working on that for about 3 months, and it's going to make him mess up some things that he didn't before. This is a standard part of the learning curve. You get good at something, and then you try to take the next step, and while you're getting good at that, you have a tendency to backslide on earlier things. Then it all comes together. And it doesn't have to come together until the beginning of the season. So we have plenty of time, missed some passes, made some passes, no worry, lots of expectations, and even higher hopes. Let's see. Now, somebody did ask if Brown 10 years ago would have been so willing to let Greene work with an outside coach. Probably not, but he knows the guy that Greene is working with, and he knows Greene. He trusts both of them, which makes it easier for him to let that, happen. And they're not contradicting each other. It's not, like they don't mesh. Mentioned Bosley has raw tools, still needs to work on it. The athleticism is there, so we'll see how that plays out when pads are on. Everybody's talking about Bray. Doesn't Coach Brown, Coach Scott, Greene, Burks. You ask who's standing out, Jaden Bray. Say visually and when he plays. He's got the hands, he's got the ball sense, runs good routes, he's got the strength more than it looks like he's going to have from the thinner body. And also, Brown specified that he does some things on special teams that wide receivers usually don't do. And we know special teams have been a problem, and it hasn't been, necessarily the coaching, having the players who can and will do what's needed on special teams, which isn't entirely a different game, but in some ways it's close. Trying to be partly insane and still in control, that's kick coverage. And it's also kick return for that matter. Hollis and Joseph, they came in late. They have not had advantage of West Virginia's training. So for now, he said they are kind of watching them in their reps, keeping them a little bit limited. But all the reports are positive. And again, some of that's just the visuals. These are, of course, these are not freshmen coming in. These are guys who are supposed to be coming in ready. And it looks like they're coming in ready. Reminder that Crandall is only in his second semester of college. He's young. So that does mean he's going to have some limitations. It also does, of course, mean he's still got that upside to work towards. TJ Jackson, again, everybody says he's a good get. He's working out as expected. He's going to play and be a difference maker. With Carrico, the most interesting thing was that he thinks the West Virginia defensive scheme is a better fit for him than the one was at Ohio State. And that often is a difference maker. How good you are is one thing. How good a psychological, emotional fit you are for the culture is another. How well you fit the scheme can be a difference maker. This time it looks like we're coming down on the right side of it. Ray and Clement have both put on weight. Started to talk a lot about Ray and then kind of got off track on Clement. I guess Mike Joseph ran the guys through a lot of drills, the cone drills and some of the different speed and agility drills that they do. And Clement was coming out at or near the top in everything. He said he is bigger and faster. And a faster Clement is going to be something to see. Said Gallagher is more fluid, looks and plays more like a true receiver. Because, of course, a reminder, he's a talented guy who hadn't played receiver. So he has learned his role and is not learning to be a receiver. He's now being a receiver. Somebody brought up Tyler Evans, a walk-on from Youngstown. And he's getting a fair amount of mention, more than the usual walk-on. And Brown did say, one big thing, he's got the respect of everybody on the team, particularly because of how he works. And whether or not he's going to be playing as a receiver, maybe not, but looks to be significant on special teams, at least can be. Another walk-on, Clay Ash, has come up in pretty, well, we've had 2 press conferences from Coach Brown, 1 from Coach Scott. Clay Ash has been mentioned every time. Of course, we only have 3 scholarship back, so it is an opportunity, but I think significant that Ash is getting mentioned, whether anyone specifically asks about him or not. But word is he's got good speed, good size, good football knowledge. Doesn't mean he's going to be pressing for playing time in the fall, but, you know, at the very least, it means if we run into trouble, injuries, we got somebody who can step in. Jalen Anderson, while we're talking about running backs, came up with both Brown and Coach Scott. This is really, of course, pretty much a make or break spring for Anderson. So it all comes down to consistency. Has the great flashes, then not so great. Really seems like, just slow to realize what it really takes. And you can think you understand what it takes. And then it turns out that's not enough. It's been his best winter. Coach Scott says Anderson fully understands the situation. It's a matter now of doing. So hopefully he can take that next step, get significant time, and do the good things we've seen him do without the bad things. Had Aubrey Burks do a press conference. Of course, this is his last year. I guess Coach Brown talked to him and referred to it as his contract year because this is when he determines what his future is going to be past college. We should be talking NFL. This year will determine if we're talking NFL and where. But he also realizes can't worry too much about that. You got to get the job done in the classroom, on the field, and then let the later issues take care of themselves. Really thinks that putting the corners and safeties together is a good idea. Does think it is helping communication, helps to know each other more, and still have to work on communication. The guys who've been around there for a while have to help the younger guys or the newer guys, because this does include Hollis and Joseph, just get them used to being more vocal. When they see something, they got to let other guys know. Of course, I don't expect that to be a problem with Hollis or Joseph, but you got to help guys like Crandall out. Montre Miller said talk to him before camp started. He is ready to go. He wants to get out there. And so, he told them, he said, people are going to see what they missed out on last year. So, does not sound like the injury has him holding back, but ready, raring to go. And again, Bray asked about, the new guys. Said, Bray pops off the charts. Also says Ray and Gallagher took things serious over the winter. And like the coaches, he said, hey, we haven't been in pads, but Ray and Gallagher are showing him things already. So we were real close last year. We had some great stuff from the receivers. Little inconsistent because they're young. Still young, but better. And I am looking forward to that. Just really, really want to see it. Another thing, you say, last year, locker room was kind of hectic with a lot of NIL talk. Of course, that was a new thing with a lot of changes last year. So, it was kind of natural that everybody was going to be talking about it. But he said this year, a lot less talk, a lot more focus. And if they maintain that, staying focused, holding on to the desire, that converts. Garrett Greene, man. Now I said, this press conference was after getting in at 3 a.m., going to practice and all of that. So he was not the exuberant Greene that we have seen, upbeat, but he just lost his grandfather he was very close to. It's an injury that you don't walk off. So he will, he will go on, he will strengthen. But, man, last spring, I was kind of shocked at how much he seemed to have matured. Watching this video, I'm not sure you would believe it's the same person if you put pictures together freshman year this year. When he got here, he looked like he should be starring in Beach Blanket Bingo with Frankie and Annette. And for you youngsters, you can go look it up. Now he looks like, check those eyes. It's like you're looking at Sylvester Stallone's relative. He could be playing Rocky Balboa's, what it would be, maybe grandnephew or something like that. He has a hardness. He's got an edge that wasn't there before. And I want to see how that plays out. It's going to be neat. And then, of course, he said, he missed some deep balls today. Says he won't miss them later. And guess what? He says last year wasn't good enough. So it was an all right year. Really thinks he needs to be better. And of course, he does. There are things he has to improve. Watching cut-ups, and this is something Coach Brown mentioned as well, they put together the video clips of the dropbacks and such. Just watch them back to back to back, and you see the inconsistencies and what needs to be fixed. The media is still saying, and I mentioned this before, media is still saying that last year's team overachieved, that they were this big surprise because the media needed glasses. Well, Greene agrees with me. He says they underachieved. As it should have been a 10 or 11 win season. And that's, I think, definitely motivating him. Says they're all working on bigger, faster, stronger, bigger, stronger, faster, something like that. So again, there is this sense of focus. Maybe a little eye of the tiger would be appropriate at this point. His completion percentage is something that's been talked about a lot, and the negators like to say, oh, 53%, how can he be a good quarterback? Well, he was pretty dang good, but his goal is a minimum of 68% completion, wants to be into the 70s. And that, of course, he didn't specify, but I'm going to specify that's without losing anything on the deep balls. That's not just 70% of balls no more than 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's 70% taking shots. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, guess who he mentioned? Bray. He said Bray's quiet, but he puts his head down and works. So, yeah. I mean, most of us love to hear about players who work. And I did not know, I guess his relationship with Tyler Allen goes back to Troy. So they have been working together for a long time. There's a comfort level there. And so, there should not be any, big change that confuses him. So, he, of course, Markell hasn't worked with Allen as long, but he has worked with him. So overall, we are not getting one of these complete changes like we did a year before last. And let's see, yeah. And for those who keep bringing it up, he's known Brown for a long time, Coach Brown. Relationship is special. They get along really well. Now, there probably are a number of other things that I would talk about if I had written them down and could remember them. But overall, here these first couple of days of practice, no pads, but everybody's working. Energy level is good. And then, Coach Brown has not always been happy with the energy level. And this year, a lot more experienced players who know what it takes. They know where to go, where to be, how things run. So that helps. And they're able to help the younger guys. So it looks like we are getting off to a good start. Now, Friday, I guess the pads start cracking, and of course, the guys are looking forward to it. I'll be back with you later whenever more comes up, which should be not necessarily every day, but a lot of days. And so I will repeat, hey, please subscribe, make comments, and click the share, the thumbs up, tell your friends, and come back and see me. Well, or just come back and listen. We'll see what I can do with those screen cards to make it worth watching. Now, I'm getting pretty tired holding this purr boy. So I'll see you guys later.